and we prep for Galaxy in Flames. It comes out tomorrow. Today, let's talk about these updates.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
What up, everybody? Scuffy here, and yeah, we got this new patch here that came out today. Getting ready tomorrow. We've got a lot going on actually tomorrow. So first off, this is kind of interesting how everything lines up. Tomorrow, Wave 1, Batch 1, whatever you want to call it, of Galaxy in Flames is gonna hit. Right? We're gonna get new cards that we've been seeing and previewing for the White Scars, the Imperial Fist, the Blood Angels, as well as the Sons of Horus, the World Leaders, and the Death Guard. We're going to get those cards. They're coming. This event is going to end. That's going to kick off the next event, which is going to give us those cards, right? I don't know what the rewards are going to be. It looks like right now, Drop Pod Assault is winning. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it continues to win, because Battle of Bot, this is bad. Battle of Bot is bad card design in general, but especially if Everguild is looking to push the game towards a focus on the Astartes and on troops and everything again. Cards like this should not be accessible, or should not be so easy to do. That's 2. Number 3, tomorrow we've got a new campaign coming up. This campaign is going to wrap up, so we're going to get a new campaign. Will it be White Scars? Will it be Sons of Horus or Death Guard? I don't know. That's going to be new. We've got a lot to go with that. And then obviously today, prepping the groundwork, we've got the patch that just launched this morning talking about the White Scars and Streak. Streak is officially a thing now. So let's take a look at a card with Streak. This does not have Streak. Swift Strike has got Streak, right? The little icon here, it's not quite. I would like this to be a little bit more stylized, but that's just personal preference here. So Streak was kind of hard for me to understand exactly how it was supposed to work. But basically, it is kind of like a perfection. It's kind of like a courage. You have to play something before you play the card with Streak in order to get the card with Streak. You have to play another card. It doesn't have to be a troop. It can be a tactic. Using an ability does not count. Playing cards with Streak first will get you nothing. But playing cards that have an ability that triggers when you get Streak, that's better setup. And actually, that's the best setup that you can do. You throw down Hakeem, who now has been changed. He's got Sneak Attack now. He's a 3/3. And then you play a card that has Streak after him, like that little quick fire right there. This little Swift Strike for 5 energy. All of a sudden, you're dealing 2 damage, you're drawing a card, and you're giving him stealth until your next turn. The cool thing about his ability here is every turn you can trigger Streak, and then he goes right back into stealth. So he can attack for 3 with his Sneak Attack. You trigger Streak again from a different card. He goes back into stealth. That's a cool upgrade to what he was, because before he was not seeing any play. He was basically a terrible turn 1. Honestly, I think he's a mediocre mid-game card now. He's not fantastic with 3/3. If he was a 4/3, that might matter. I have only been playing. I played a couple games with Hibu, a couple games with Kinza. I haven't dove into Jagatai or Yusegi yet with the new changes, and obviously we're going to get new cards tomorrow. So I haven't fully digested the patch, but I do want to break down what we're seeing here, because some of these cards have got Streak incorporated into them, and some of them have been changed, I think, to try to downscale a little bit with what the expectation of what this faction is going to be doing after tomorrow. So let's look over the patch, guys. Okay, so one card here that's very interesting is the Kandali Scouts. This card was not great. Most 1 energy scout cards are not. But they had like a pay for 0 that went back to hand. Now it's just straight rally, deal a damage. If target dies, return to your hand. That's okay. It's a little ping. It's kind of nice for, early game killing like a 3 health troop. There's a lot of 1 health troops like Jaegers. This is a wonderful Jaeger spam. Like you could you could counter Jaeger decks pretty easily as long as they're not getting buffed with this single scout guy. I like that. But it's really important because he's just one energy. That lets you play and trigger your streak if you play him before you play something like this. So for 3 energy, I play Kandali. He kills something, he goes back to my hand. Then I can play my Swift Strike, kill something, or just deal 2 damage and draw a card. Or down the road with these other cards that have got streak. Now something's coming out with flank and sneak attack. This, I think, is going to become a key card in some of the White Scars builds. And I kind of like that. Because like I said, there are various 1 energy scout guys. Don't do quite a whole lot. This guy kind of does almost the exact same thing. But he has to survive to go back up to your hand. Where we got here? We got, there's another scout. Oh, the Emperor's Children. They've got a terrible one. These guys, Jarmosian scouts, these guys actually have 1 extra health, but they cost, I mean, like, they don't do anything. So I think that's gonna be a very important card for comboing. Because he's very cheap. And if you're going to want to trigger streak multiple times, you're going to need cheaper cards to do it. The one thing I'm seeing with streak, unlike perfection, which typically you're only going to trigger once a turn, courage typically you're only going to trigger once a turn. Now there are games that you certainly can trigger more than 1 turn. Streak has the possibility of triggering multiple times in a turn, especially the more energy you have and the cheaper the cards are that you're playing them. So that's just something to keep in mind. So that's Kandali Scott. So Kamblai bikes. My tongue is all turkeyed up. Yeah, these guys now have flank, streak. They duplicate themselves in your hand. I think that's really cool. As long as you have 4 energy, just 4 energy. If you play Kandali Scouts, you're getting a flanker for 3/3, then you're going to get another flanker, and you can continue to keep that flanking these bike squads. This is going to be another better version than what it was before. I think much more utilized card. We talked about Hakim, which was the other change here. Tang High attack bikes. Now, I was a little sad with this at first. These guys are no longer 3/3s. They were just 3/3 fast. Now they're 2/3s fast, but they've got a conditional streak. So technically, they could do 4 damage as opposed to doing 3 damage with their rally. Or it's a streak, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. That's cool. In addition to that, depending on what the board state is, that might be very beneficial because now they could, maybe that 2 damage randomly kills a 2 health troop. Or it hits the Warlord, and now you can attack the Warlord for 4. In addition to whatever else you played that turn. That's not bad. On the surface, it seems like a nerf. And there's certainly not something you're going to be able to get as much effect out of playing at 3 energy as you were initially. But late game, that becomes very improved, especially considering the fact, when you think about it, most of the time when you're playing Tang and High attack bikes, especially in like decks like Kinza or Hibu Khan, you're running Outriders before them. So now, instead of getting 5, you're getting 7 damage from that 1 card. I like it. Because, you're going to get, because playing Outriders will trigger your streak when you play Tang High attack bikes. So then they come out, boom, they're, not 7, 6. So they're a 4 attack, but then they deal 2 extra damage. And then maybe with Kinza, you use his ebb and flow, and then they go back up to your hand. And guess what? You do it again, boom, another 6 damage. So, yeah, I think that's actually not too bad, and that makes sense why they would do that. Let's see what else we got here. We got Vendali bikes. Vendali bikes was changed. They're just changing all the bikes, right? Vendali bikes now has streak, gains sneak attack, as opposed to just the rally. I think it was a 4/2 rally gain sneak attack. Now it's actually got 3 health as well. So, it could live a little bit longer. It's not necessarily a 1 hit and done. It still can get sneak attack, although you have to play it a little conditional. This kind of feels like a step back. Honestly, it's like giving you the exact same thing that it had, but now there's a condition to it. Whereas before, there was no condition. Kind of the same could be said with Swift Strike. Swift Strike's conditional draw card was, if the target dies. This is still a conditional draw card. The upside that I see to this, if I have to sell it as an upside, I don't have to sell it, but I do see it as an upside, is this works better when you're facing an opponent who doesn't have any troops. So even at the very least, you can still do 2 damage. You could always do 2 damage to his warlord, but you're going to get that draw card option still available to you if you set up the streak. So that's something to think about. I don't think Jagatal, these guys didn't get pumped. Crusher, Kumbli, Chiglin, Ride the Winds got changed here to give +1 to vehicles in your hand and deck. And then for streak draw vehicle, that's not terrible. It doesn't give anything to health. But early game, this is not a bad card. This is a good card early game. 4 energy, Kandali Scouts, then they Ride the Winds. And then you get a vehicle in your hand. In addition to that, you pumped up. I don't know. I think that might be more effective in draft. But it could still be effective. So for the con, now this one got interesting too. It gives +2 to your units this turn, but now it heals 2 to your units as well. So that is cool. I don't know. Now here's the thing. It's because it's only got that streak, so it's not going to trigger after you play the card. So this really is kind of a weird situation where the timing of this card seems good. Like, I'll heal 2 to my units, and I've given them +2 to my units this turn. Well, if you're dropping fast units, and then you're playing for the con to increase their health, they haven't attacked yet. So there's nothing to heal. So the only thing you're healing is your warlord. And that's not bad. Healing your warlord is never a bad thing. But it's not as good unless you have units already on the board that have attacked, and then you're healing, or that haven't attacked yet but have damage, and then they're healing, and then they still get to attack. It has possibilities. I don't know how effective that healing is going to be, but it is nice that you've got it here. I don't know. Gabash didn't get changed, but Gabash in conjunction with Kandali Scouts, very, very nice. That's a good version of a combo. It's a 5 energy combo, maybe even more depending late game. Especially in some decks, you throw down Kabosh Veteran, and then you start destroying Jaegers, and you're dealing random 3 damage. You might destroy the Jaegers faster. That 3 damage might be hitting the Warlord. I mean, I'm just picking on Jaegers with these examples, but that's a possibility. We talked about Vandali bikes. I don't think these Void bikes changed up. These are still 4/4s, right? Did they change these guys' health? Hang on, let me take a quick look here. No, they did not. The Void bikes, It's a 6/4 flanker. I'm more excited that this guy has some potential. As far as first strike, he still has the first strike. He's a 5/5. But when you trigger streak, gain precognition to your next turn. So again, another late game combo. 7 energy. I drop him down. I play Swift Strike. I deal 2 damage. I draw a card. He gets precognition. And now I've got a 5/5 with precognition and first strike. And I can trigger that precognition every time I play streak in my turn. So the next turn, he attacks. Maybe he kills a troop. Maybe he deals 5 damage. Then I hit, play 2 cards, trigger streak, maybe for the con on the other end, and now all of a sudden, he's healed. It's still raw. I still have to dive into it. I do want to try to make more use of him because this is one epic that I have not played at all, and every time I look at the 5 energy troops for across all the factions, this is one that is at the top of my list of I wish they did this card a little better. This might be the little better that we'll see. So I don't know. We'll find out. Anagal Veterans, for a common, this isn't bad. Your Warlord has +1/+0. Okay, cool. But Streak, your Warlord gets +2/+0 this turn. Remember, you just have to play a card first, and then you play these guys. So, yeah, even at 10 energy, and then we're giving let's hope you played the Dow before 10 energy. But boom, your Warlord has +2/+0. Then he gets an additional +1/+2, so he's a 3. So now your Warlord is a total of +5. He's a 7 attack with the Anagal Veterans. Jagathai Khan might want to start considering a few more troops in his deck. I'm going to talk about the warlords here when I get through all the rest of the cards, because I got some comments on why the warlords didn't get touched in this patch. But this has got merit. This has also got merit, I think, with any warlord in general. But 4/5 for 5, that actually makes your warlord punch a little stronger. That's not bad. I do want to see if Head Taker can fill that void better, though. So, Storm Seer Gelly, still a great card. It hasn't changed. White Taker Dao. Really disappointed they didn't touch this card here. Even if they would have just reduced the damage to 1, I feel like this card should have been reset. Time will tell. We'll see. I think a lot of people, when they demanded this card get nerfed, did not realize how easy it is to just drop your troops at 0 energy, especially with all the card drawing that all the factions have. But that's an argument for a different age. Evan Keshig. Now, this is one that I felt like, I don't know. These guys had initially Rally remove stealth from a random unit. So these kind of were like an anti-stealth with the front line. But now they're not. They are still a beefy front line, but then they've got 0 energy. Your next troop costs 2 less. That's not a bad ability. Again, I think this is going to be very powerful in draft format, but this is a great ability to help conserve energy to give you more streaking. You're going to want to streak a whole bunch with this guy. So that's not bad. It's not great. I feel like they took one nice useful thing, they gave him another nice useful thing that has a little bit of a delay on it. But he is an 8 health body. He is a 6 attack. He is a front line. It's not terrible. It's not great. Again, I think events and draft is where Eben Keshig is gonna shine a little bit more. And then Thunderhead. I like Thunderhead now. I liked it before because you could kind of control the rallying, the damage, but this is potentially 8 energy for 5 damage. And again, that's a streak, additional 3. It's a targeted, so it's not a random. It's not random 2, then random 3. It's a 2 and then 3 if you've got streak. So for 10 energy, again, we're just going 2 damage plus another, 5 damage. So for 10 energy, we're getting 7 damage and an 8/6 on the board. Or we could do it for 1 less. Or we could do it for on curve if we've got drilling sites. I think drilling sites are going to be huge in White Scars decks. If you're not already using them, check out drilling site. Is that all the cards? I feel like that's all the cards here. I could be wrong. Let me just take a quick look here. Tempestuous Orders. That was another one that was changed. Okay, yeah. Tempestuous Orders is the last one on the list. And that one, I think I passed over because I don't like the artwork. 1 energy now. Return a friendly troop to your hand. Streak, give it +1/+0. Ideally, I think that the intention of this is basically for 1 energy less, you're playing a fast troop, you're hitting with it, you're picking it back up. Now it's a little bit stronger because it gets +1/+0. So for instance, for 4 energy, you deal your Tanga High. They don't get their streak because you're just playing them at 4 energy. But they do deal 2 damage, then you pick them back up, and now they can deal 3 + 2 on the next turn. It's interesting, and I think it could have merit with certain builds. I don't know yet. I gotta do a lot of practicing. And then on top of that, we're gonna have more cards to look into it next, tomorrow. Less than 24 hours. In 18 hours and 5 minutes from now. So that's the patch for the White Scars. That's Streak. I'm gonna have to play with it a little bit more to feel how I really feel comfortable about it. On first glance, I wasn't sure with regards to how it was revealed. Like, I still had questions as far as how it was going to operate, how smooth it was going to be. In playing so far today, it's okay. It feels a little clunky, and it doesn't feel like it benefits everybody, and that's okay. It does. I don't think it should. I think Streak should be an option, an optional way to play, but not the way to play for the White Scars. I think Kinza, hands down. I think a lot of people are coming to the same conclusion. This guy benefits way more than others, especially with ebb and flow. He's already kind of got that. where he can return them to the hand, then play them again, and then you can trigger more stuff. But he already had a style that led into that. Hibu Khan, I enjoy a lot. I really love the Sagir Maison, but the Sagir Maison is a card that you play after you played a card, so that kind of takes away from that a little bit. Kind of takes away from playing Sagir Maison unless you have a troop that has survived and is on the table. It's still a very nice card to have, but that's why I think Kinza benefits more. I haven't dove into Jagatai yet to see. Here's my thoughts on it. So again, they haven't touched any of these warlords yet. I think they want to see how things work. I think they need to see how things work. I really still think that Jagatai should just get starting with his standard energy and then have his reckoning cost one more. Quite frankly, that's just my personal take. Or better yet, change his reckoning altogether, and instead of having it count down from when he doesn't have units, have it reduced every time he plays streak. Every time he triggers a streak, and then there you go. But we've already got a mission card that's coming out that's going to kind of do the same thing. So, anyways, so they haven't touched any of the warlords. I think they want to see how things do here. In the meantime, if they don't do well, they can buff, and usually when we get a new expansion, they focus on those things to make sure that they feel like they wanted them to feel. If he does too well, then they have to nerf, and then that's a little bit more problematic. So I think that's probably a safe way to go. It does feel a little underwhelming though, because streak is essentially rewarding you for comboing under curve or behind curve, basically. So if I play one card on curve, 2 energy to destroy a troop, and then you draw a card because the troop died, which is old Swift Strike, I was on curve. Now, if I want to get the same effect, I literally have to play not only another card, but I have to wait another turn to have the energy to play those cards, or another 2 turns, depending on what we're talking about. If we're talking about 5 energy here for a Keeman Swift Strike, or we're talking 3 energy for Kondali and Swift Strike. There's a lot of examples to go into. I'm just pulling those 2 cards out there, but basically you get rewarded for later game, which actually, I mean, the fast bikes, they got a lot of fast stuff. They're very open and susceptible to frontline. Frontline troops are going to be a problem for them. That hasn't changed from everything that's here. They don't have any answers to frontline other than flanking. And Targetai Sacrifice, which has a major drawback in some matchups. But their late game is where they strong out, because then they have the full 10 energy to work with to combo, to gain streak or attack benefits or recycle recursion cards. And that's kind of a build that they already had. It's not much different than that. The difference is the triggers and the timing of the card plays for maximum yield. And Jagatai suffers on that, because now not only is he starting behind energy, which he's already had, which has always been kind of an issue, but then in order for him to gain the best benefit from his cards, he has to be delayed even further in energy from acting. So I hope that gets changed, or I hope they look into that. Streak, I think, as a mechanic so far, might be okay. It's not going to work for everybody, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. Looks interesting. So those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on the White Scars here, on the patch. I'm going to be doing a lot more thinking and a lot more playing and talking over the weekend as we dive into the new campaign, as we dive into the new released cards, new deck types, 5th Warlords. Man, stuff is going to be fun. And I hope you guys are along with it for the ride, right? Riding the plains with me and the Outriders. Skilled Rider. Can I come up with any more rider puns? Ride the winds? We just did that. We can ride it for the con. Let's ride for the con, baby. Yeah, so that's it. So until tomorrow, or until next time, or whenever, keep playing Legions, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.